nothing spectacular, but they're all in generally the same area. They're all looking to be shooting roughly in the 140 range, which unfortunately for all of them is a downgrade on their scores. Yeah, it's
step back from the pace. You know, some of them, obviously, Jesse, if we're talking about a 150 average as the target, he has a little bit of wiggle room. He's averaged nearly 159 his first 6, so he maybe is the one who can most afford to have a
correct. And right now
game.
he's at plus 36. He's got a box to go. So with a mark, he's in the 40s.
Right.
Kyle just had a relatively low fill on a spare because he went through the middle, but he's also plus 30. So he needs a mark to get to 40. And then Eric was in the 9th box with a 113. He's in need of a double to get to 40.
Right.
So game 1, Sunday morning, get the kinks out.
Get the muscles loosened up.
There you go.
Get the neurons firing, all that fun stuff.
Well, you don't want those firing too much, but
just enough.
Just enough to
happy medium.
Absolutely, just enough to keep you alert. So we will be trying to follow as best we can all 3 of those bowlers throughout the morning. They are going to be spread out all over the house. Right now, we've got Eric down on 3 and 4. We've got Kyle on 15 and 16, and Jesse over on 19 and 20. That will shift around as the morning unfolds. So we've got camera locations in all of those areas to bring you all 3 of those bowlers, hopefully as it happens.
And what's nice about the format of this tournament, as far as making it easier for us, is that they bowl their last 2 games on the same pair. So we don't have to worry about trying to reposition cameras at the very end when it's probably going to be the most dramatic and suspenseful.
Especially this afternoon as we get to the finals.
The conclusion of the tournament. Right.
We won't know until the end of this shift if any of these gentlemen are still going to be. First of all, we've got bowlers in the clubhouse done.
Right.
With a score.
There's a score.
No one's beaten those yet.
Right. Not yet. There's no 1800s yet.
So we still have
but
Kevin Martin sitting in the clubhouse waiting for somebody to go by him.
Kevin Martin, 1771. Eric Pellet, 1757. So until someone does.
Just to interrupt, Jesse did throw a strike in the 10th. So at this point, he is looking to get into the 40s. With another strike, he'd be getting back into the 50s, I believe.
And it looks like on the stream, Eric Leteska is looking at a split. Oh, no, it looks like it was a baby split.
He converted it.
It's like that was the 2479.
So that could get Eric into the 30s.
I don't know if that was for a spare or a 10, though. This
is true. We do not. He's stepping back on the lane, so that means it was for a spare.
Or it was for a spare.
It was a spare in the 10th.
Not to be too biased, but excited.
We're not going to cheer too hard for Eric, but
we can a little.
And there's Deech on cue with a double, so he's in the 50s.
Well, yeah, as long as he 4 or more on his last ball, he'll be in the 50s. So he might even be able to add to that 150 pace. When it looked
well, he's averaging 159, so he can't get to his average, but he can't hurt the average that much with a 156.
Exactly.
So one more bomb here, and he's survived, for him, a rough game.
Right, adding maybe a few pins to that 150 buffer, 150 plus buffer, and he's already got 57 pins in the bank.
Okay, Eric had to step back off the lane for a second, so he will be. I'm sorry.
He stepped back off the lane because he threw a strike, says Brian Ewing.
So it's Eric and Jesse threw simultaneous strikes.
I believe that puts Eric 133 for his first game.
Correct. Eric is 133. And here's Jesse to that. Oh, geez. That was a.
Well, and I think he just fouled.
I believe that's a foul. Jesse Deech just threw 18 balls, ladies and gentlemen. I think. Oh.
So I think what happened is you saw that he was ripping the middle on his last ball, got upset. I think he might have kicked the ball return, which led to basically every ball falling off the rack. And
highlight of the morning right there.
And then he, in chasing after the balls, I think he ended up fouling.
I believe if any of those balls went over the line, I think it's a foul.
Well, they did mark it as a 5, Phil, on his double, but I'm sure that's going to be
we need a
reviewed
ruling
by the tournament director.
Correct. I know one of the balls at least made it over the line on lane 15.
Right.
Which was 5 lanes down.
Right.
Very unusual.
And I don't know exactly the rule. If a ball goes over the foul line that he kicked off the ball rack, does that count as a foul, or does he have to go over the foul line?
You know what, Jim? That's something we're going to have to look into that.
Right. So I wonder how that's going to impact Jesse's mindset.
I think he was just laughing it off, to be honest.
Well, I think he might have gone from anger to a little bit of embarrassment there.
Yeah, well, it clearly was
in a flash.
something you don't see frequently.
Right.
There was at least 10 or 12 balls laying around, flying down the other side.
But maybe he can look at that as a way of just focusing and maybe realizing I need to control my emotions a little bit better.
Yeah, so
these last
we
5
just
games.
we just saw Kyle finish with a 145. So none of the bowlers this morning hit their previous average from the tournament, but none of them
really hurt
themselves
badly.
too bad. Right.
I mean, time is running out on the tournament for
We're
them.
going to have to clarify or verify Jesse's actual score because So that 5 pins did count, even though the balls went all over the place. That's a fair shot. We're trying to figure out if that.
All right, we'll get a confirmation on that.
He has either a 146 or a 151.
Right.
We need to get a ruling on whether or not that's considered a foul.
And those are 5 important pins.
Correct.
I mean, we've seen each of the last couple of years this tournament come down to the last
come down to the last
frame or
box.
two.
Yes, absolutely.
So that can make a difference.
So we will be checking that for sure. We've got plenty of time to figure that out. But the other bowlers in question, Eric with the 133, he might have cost him. He throws a double, he makes that up. Right. Kyle with a 145.
And Kyle's the one that can least afford. Kyle had under 900. He had 888 for his first 6.
So Kyle
he's
is
under pace.
Correct. Kyle cannot afford the same luxury that Eric had, which is one hiccup.
Right. When I say keep going backwards, talking about games under 150.
And we are going to be talking about that throughout the day. That 150 is the number I think we're going to be looking at.
It might sound like a broken record, but that's really, historically, at least recent history dictates that you're looking at low 150 averages over 12 games to win this tournament.
Generally 1800, 1810, 1820, that general number is a winner
is a starting
in most
point.
years. It's where we look to see where the leaders are going to be.
It could be 1830s, it could be 1850s, but
not going to be anything like 2066 though. We don't
probably
anticipate
not.
that.
We haven't had anyone shoot 1,000 for their first 6 games. So we talked a little bit about that yesterday with both Scott Wolgamuth and Miles Kincannon breaking 1,000 for 6 in the same year.
Absolutely.
Scott went on to break the world record, the 12-game world record.
Which I believe you had spoken to one of our bowlers from this afternoon, Don Dove, who doesn't believe that record will ever be broken.
Well, there's very few tournaments where you have a chance to break it. I think this is really the one opportunity you have to break the record is here at the Eastern. I don't know of any other
12-game tournaments.
12-game blocks where you could try and break it other than here.
And I'm not so sure if you created 10 or 15 more of those, you could get it to happen.
Right.
That's a huge score. There you see.
There was the replay of.
There's everything flying down the lane. We got Eric Leteska now starting his second game of the morning. Crosses over into the 1-3 pocket and gets away with it. He's got a spare break.
It's like the 2-4-5.
Yes, it is the 2-4-5. We were talking to Eric last night about whether or not that's a desired location for his ball, and it's not.
Right.
He wants that 1-2 pocket.
Right. You want to be driving into whatever pocket you're shooting for, not away from it.
He's a little bit off to the right on that attempt, so he's going to open the second game without a mark. As we resituate every bowler, Jesse Deach will move all the way down to the other end of the house, down to lanes 1 and 2. Kyle Shaw has moved over to lanes 17 and 18. And, of course, we're following Eric Leteska on lanes 5 and 6. So those will be our 3 focus points throughout the morning.
Obviously, if anyone leaps up into contention, we can certainly
I think a couple of things could come into play. If someone starts to throw a spectacular game, if we see a 220 or 230 game, this Kyle Shaw starting off his second game with a bomb, so he's out of the gates with a strike. But I was just going to say, if we get a game that's looking like something special, I'm sure we'll try to get a few shots of someone going for a monster game. Or as you said, if someone who's lower in the ranks jumps into contention, we will certainly figure out a way to bring that action to you as well.
An example of that was last night. Scott Wolgamuth almost had a 200. He had a a triple going into the 10th frame, so we were able to quickly switch over to his pair. Unfortunately, he finished with 197, couldn't quite get there.
Yep.
He split on his shot at a 4-timer, but hopefully we can see more of that today from other bowlers.
You're seeing our camera angle on lanes 1 and 2.
And I think we're going to catch.
See a young bowler there, Matthew Gano. That's Rick Gano's son.
Right on lane 1.
Lefty. Just out of youth.
And it's his first Eastern Classic tournament.
Yes.
So there are 2 Ganos bowling. We have 2 Ganos and 3 Latescas bowling today.
Yes, and not on the same shift, but there were 3 Dominiques.
Right. Well, 2 of them are bowling.
2 of them are bowling,
right?
and then Brandon, the son of Mike, has bowled in the first shift of the tournament last week.
Matt covers his 10-pin first pair.
It's going to be our first look at Jesse Deach over on lanes 1 and 2. Right now, we're looking at Eric Latesca. That's the pocket Eric's looking for right there. That's the 1-2.
I heard that one off camera. That was definitely had the sound of a strike.
And definitely proves Eric's point. He'd rather be on that side of the pocket than the other.
Driving in instead of driving away, especially here at Lucky Strike.
Yep.
That it seems like if your ball is tailing away from the pocket, you're not going to get the pin action that you'd like.
See Jesse Deach, that ball gets a third of the way down the lane, but really low. You see some guys lob the ball out, and the ball bounces a little bit. His ball gets way down the lane, but an inch off the floor.
Right, and I think that's a benefit. It's less likely to bounce or hop. And Kyle starting his second game strike spare.
Then you see there Jesse pick off the single pin off that 2-pin spare. He left himself with the 3-6, and he picked the 3 clean. Covers up the 6-pin for a 10 box. And at this point in the coverage, we're going to take a quick break, bring you to a commercial. We'll be back with the continuing live coverage of the 88th Annual Frank Barber Memorial Eastern Classic.
Become the biggest problem solver I ever know, you know? He's just, okay, I want to do that, so we're just going to figure out how we're going to do it. And honestly, I don't know how we figured out how to do the duck pin, but everybody tells me it's simply amazing. He just figured it out on his own.
Mulvihill needs to beat that 163 to win this match. So that means putting a strike on this. 9 pins will tie. 8 pins or less, he's eliminated. Collins champion.
Oh my goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, Jimmy Mulvihill throws another great ball on the head pin, leaves a ringing 5-pin, and we have a tie.
And welcome back. We are still live here at Lucky Strike Lanes in Mansfield Center, Connecticut. We are bringing you live coverage of the Frank Barber Memorial Eastern Classic. This morning we are watching the 4th shift of this tournament, finishing up their 2nd block. We have 3 bowlers that we're focusing on primarily who are in contention for the championship, and that would be Jesse Deach, our own Eric Latesca from Duckpin TV, and also local bowler and Lucky Strike proprietor Kyle Shaw. Got Jim Kaufman here by my side to help you keep updated. Jim, we are into the 2nd game. Seen a couple of, I don't want to say shaky starts, but less than average starts for some of our top bowlers. Is that something that gets in your head, or you just shake it off and move on to the second game?
I guess it depends on the person, right? I mean, was the glass half empty or half full? You know, none of them broke 150. Well, there's still some dispute as to whether or not Jesse Deach broke
It may have been
150
150 or may not. We got to check.
We're waiting to hear back on that, but yeah, I think it has to weigh on your mind because again, you're running out of games. You're
See Eric here working on a strike. That ball came up just a tad.
Yeah, maybe
Tad
a little,
short.
little flat, so to speak,
Yep.
where maybe didn't have the same drive into the pocket as
terrible
his last
break.
ball. But
So
you got
there's
spare
a
leave.
5-9 makeable spare, obviously 2-pinner. The bowlers are all seemingly just not quite sharp yet.
Right. And it may be pressing. You're
Eric with
trying
a
to press
9
the action
load
here.
and a 9 box, so he's not going to be happy with that box at all. Got a good break. Kyle Shaw now on 17. Another bomb for Kyle. So he's off to a great start in his second game with strike, spare, strike.
And I'm sure
Kyle just of the three right now, Kyle looks like he's smoothed out a little. He's got a nice,
He always
calm
does.
delivery. Well, I know.
he always does. And we kind of compared and contrasted all three bowlers. Eric, maybe Eric and Kyle have the same smoother delivery, whereas
Jesse gets
Jesse
the
has
ball.
more powerful
Yeah.
delivery. But again, their mechanics, all three are very sound.
Yep, Jesse just goes off the side for 4 on that. So going through the 2.
The 3-9, but again, spare leave there. It looks like he has enough side for 4 or 5. I can't quite tell.
I think there's 6 pins down there.
So he has the 8-pin sleeper. We'll
Yeah,
find
he
out
has
in
a
second.
sleeper. Well,
Oh,
not
maybe we
yet.
won't.
The thing for Jesse right now is he has that little cushion, but he can't rely on it too early. There's a
Oh,
4
wow.
box. That's
Okay.
that's when he's going to really be. He's going to have to get that one completely out of his head immediately.
Well, or you think, well, I need to get those pins back immediately.
Right, I got to do
I
something.
just lost 6 pins, so I need to get those back. So does he press? Does he try and reset? I don't know. We'll find out.
Here's Eric Leteska once again. This time he's back and solid in the 1-2. Leaves a 6-pin for a single spare.
Another spare leave.
This one he can afford to pick.
Yes. Yeah, you can pick this one all you want, as long as it falls over. Wow, does not. Oh, maybe that.
He made it.
Oh, wow.
He made
Okay,
it. Yeah, yeah.
I just didn't wait long enough for the timber.
So Leteska is back on a mark. We got Kyle Shaw on a strike, and Jesse Deach trying to recover from a shaky 4 box.
Now,
And I'm
again,
sure
I
he
don't
will.
know if the emotional finish to that first game's carrying over to the second, or I'm not sure, but
That was something. I don't
Right.
know that I've seen that often, where
No.
every ball on the rack is almost on the floor.
oh, nice shot. Oh,
So I'm
was
not-
off camera, but Dave Dupuis just covered the 5-10, converted the 5-10.
I'm not aware of a lot of the bowling centers in Baltimore, but I'm thinking maybe most of them don't have the ball rack up above the
Oh no, they
They do?
Well, they do, but most of them, it's the ball returns are above the lane,
yeah,
where you'll have that ramp.
and then
right
the
at
ball's
end
all
of the
collected
approach.
like a holiday lane setup, holiday
Well,
setup.
it varies from center to center, but the traditional ball return is where the balls are above the lane and it comes up the ramp.
Got
you
it.
have that available for kicking.
Just in case your foot gets in the way.
Right. Those might be a little more stable since it's one connected piece, whereas the ones here at Lucky Strike
Right.
aren't.
I've seen a lot of bowlers with a follow through, even if it's not even if they're not upset, their
Right.
follow through, their foot gets very
Yeah,
close to
it
the
happens
ball
to
rack.
me sometimes where if I'm on the right lane and I'm shooting a pin on the right side of that lane, I'm set up on the left side of the approach, so I inadvertently kick it.
The bowler I'm really thinking about right now that comes to mind immediately is Luke Robustelli.
Right.
He gets extremely close to that.
Kyle, good ball on his strike. Looks like he left the
It's a
5-9.
5-9. So Eric just had a similar opportunity. That ball looked like it was crushed. Didn't it went right over the top of the 5 and 9. As Kyle his attempt to spare, and he covers, so he's off to an all-mark start. You have a name for that game, Jim? If it goes 20 all out, what do you call that?
I believe it's Dutch.
Dutch,
right?
It's
Haven't
200
seen
Dutch.
One. I don't think I've ever seen one. Have you?
The closest I've ever come was myself. I was at 120 in the 6th this year, and I had it going, and I ripped. Somebody said, "Oh, you're gonna go Dutch?" And I went, "No, I had no idea what they were talking about because I've never done it."
What the origin is of the
Double Dutch? I don't know. I don't know. Here's Jesse coming off his 4-box, and as we suspected,
one way to recover.
He recovered very nicely.
Best way to recover. So he's on the board, second game.
Dave Dupuis, you see, you were talking about that spare he made. He filled it with a nice 10. Yep.
That was off camera, though.
That was off camera. Yeah. We have the advantage of seeing some stuff that you can't. So.
Yeah, our executive producer Brian Ewing set us up with multiple
camera
displays, and then
this is incredible
that you're seeing
yeah.
on the feed. And again, we thank everyone who recently donated through our GoFundMe efforts.
Oh my gosh,
we raised the money to get this equipment that we so desperately needed.
We can't thank them enough. That was just unbelievable. The generosity and the outpouring of support. There's Eric. Oh,
ouch.
5, 6, 10.
And again, I think the angle into the pocket
did
was a little
did not
flatter.
get heavy enough for him.
Right.
No,
there's a fine line here at Lucky Strike Lane.
It is a 7 load. It is a load of 7.
Where that pocket is.
So now we see Eric off to a plus 15. Kyle is off to a 30 plus in the 4th, so he's off to an excellent start.
It looks like Eric gave that a ride where he just clipped the 6 pin.
He did get it, yep.
Didn't get the wall action he was looking for.
So now he's looking to clean up with a 9 here. Does not. So it's an 8-box for Eric, who again, through 5 frames of his second game, is just a little bit of a struggle. That's right now.
He's on a 126 pace for this game, which is not going to cut it.
I'm going to see Jesse Deach come back up on lane 1 and 2. He's looking to fill a strike. Probably thinking, I'm not going to do what I did on this lane last time. I would be surprised if this ball is anything but heavy or to the left of the head pin. I would be shocked. And, oh, Lord.
Not be happy with that.
I was correct. He went into the 1-2 pocket, but did not get anywhere near the result he was hoping for, as that breaks open a 7-10 split.
So he still needs to finish the fill.
Well, he's got to fill 9, get back to even for your box, make the 10, and then there's nothing you can do with that hit. That's a good hit.
You just have
bad
to
result.
Hold your dead wood, hold the wood, and move on. Try not to let it affect you mentally.
Sure, right now, Jesse's going, what are you talking about? Lanes 1 and 2 are the best in the house. What are you talking about? Yeah, you guys are out of your minds.
Word has it that 1 and 2 is the fastest pair here. And I know there's some people that dispute that, but I think the consensus is, well, Jesse especially now, but
Jesse will join that group.
The consensus is 1 and 2 seems to fall the best.
So if all goes according to schedule, Kyle Shaw, who's about to step up on lane 17, should throw a strike.
Right.
A strike. He's enjoyed this lane thus far.
He's perfect on 17. He is 2 for 2, looking to go 3 for 3.
Just sails around the 6 pin, so that's a 9 drop.
So there goes his Dutch 200.
There goes the Dutch. So Kyle will look to convert the single. And just clips the outside. I thought that got away.
But we saw it dart to the left as he clipped it. But Doesn't matter how you hit it.
I was watching Kyle's body language, and he was leaning hard.
Right.
He was leaning hard, so he thought he had missed that. So now we're going to go back, I believe, over to, should be Eric's turn on lanes 5 and 6. Eric is trying to, and not converting a single, so this game is definitely becoming a struggle.
Slipping away a little bit here, at least with this game.
And that's a 9-box for Eric.
So 72 after 6, and a couple of missed opportunities there.
You see right now, looking at Kyle and Jesse, Kyle's in this game alone, through the first 4 boxes, has made up 36 pins.
Right.
That's how you're going to make a comeback.
Right. And if you get caught up in the numbers, well, how am I going to make up all these pins? Well,
Do
you
it
can
while
make them up very quickly.
And once you do, then that thought's no longer in your head.
Right.
Now you're playing.
And it's difficult not to think like that. Just thinking about this next frame, this next ball,
Right. And
doing
Kyle
what I
does.
need to do. I think
Kyle
you're
does.
right. I think you're right. But sometimes you get caught up in the numbers. But the 3 bowlers are spaced far enough away from each other where I don't think that you can. It's easy for them to peek over and see
I
how
don't
the other's
believe
bowling,
they can.
which is probably an advantage for all 3 of them, where they're more focused on their own bowling.
Unless they're down with their phones checking out Duckpin
Right.
TV's coverage. Could
That
be checking
that
us
could
out.
very well be true. Yeah, that's a big recovery by Jesse.
And Jesse bounces back again. So he's having fairly decent success on lane 2. He needs to figure out lane 1 right now.
He's thrown 3 good balls since that 4 box. Strike, 7-10 strike. Here's a replay. No doubt.
That was crushed.
He
He's
knew it.
probably thinking that should have been a triple.
Ball returned safe after that ball.
You know we're not going to let him live that one down. That's going to be
Oh, no.
famous. He's
No.
going to be famous for that. We have coverage.
Infamous.
That might go into our Duck TV promo.
No, I doubt that. I don't think
I'm
that's gonna
kidding.
make
That's
the
a
cut.
joke.
Maybe if we do the not top 10,
We'd have to put that on bloopers, Duckpin bloopers. Yeah. Kyle Shaw is going to be coming back up on lane 18 this time. He's an all-mark game through 5. All very well filled. Off to a tremendous start. Looking to get to 99 in the 5th here with a strike.
and we encourage everyone that's watching to like and share the broadcast. You know, like our page, like the post, and share it. And we touched on this last night, but just to kind of keep everyone up to speed as far as
Kyle, 9-drop for Kyle.
upload speeds are the upload speeds with the modem not or what we need, what we want from like Charter Communications is the internet provider out this way, and the upload speeds just aren't what
Kyle's
we
6 for
need
6.
covers it. He has all marks through.
Kyle's
6.
all marks through 6.
We ask very quickly to be patient with us. I know there's some lagging and there's some buffering with the live feed, and that's strictly due to the upload speeds that are available to us. But immediately after these live feeds are over, you go back and take a look at the replays or anything else that we upload. The quality is 1,000 times better than what we've had with prior broadcasts. So again,
Excellent.
that's a testament to everyone's generosity, and we appreciate all of your support. And you can continue to support us by liking and sharing what you're watching.
Big
tonight.
spot for Eric right there. Strike in the 7th.
Needed that.
Much needed mark right there.
And I'm sure he immediately starts thinking double to try and make up for lost frames.
And I'm sure Jesse's got that on his mind right now, except the first thing Jesse's trying to do is figure out how to get a spare break on lane 1.
And I'm sure he kind of gave the wave there, Eric, on the replay, like, oh, there's 10 pins that I didn't need because I missed a single the last frame.
Correct. Paid the penalty.
All right, Jesse working on a strike.
Almost got a sloppy one there. He almost got away with one. He threw that one off to the right side. Lift himself the 1-2. So Jesse's going to try to convert this spare for a 10 load and get himself 3 marks. out of 6 in this game, but he has a 4 box, so, and he does cover that. So right now we are about just past halfway through game 2 of this shift. We have 4.5 games to bring you, and we will bring you those games when we come back to the 88th annual Frank Barber Memorial Eastern Classic at Lucky Strike Lanes in Mansfield, Connecticut.
Nick's become the biggest problem solver I ever know, you know? He's just, okay, I want to do that, so we're just going to figure out how we're going to do it. And honestly, I don't know how we figured out how to do the duck pin, but everybody tells me it's simply amazing. He just figured it out on his own.
Mulvihill needs to beat that 163 to win this match. So that means putting a strike on this. 9 pins will tie. 8 pins or less, he's eliminated. McClellan's champion.
Oh my goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, Jimmy Mulvihill throws another great ball on the head pin, leaves a ringing 5 pin, and we have a tie.
And welcome back to Duckpin TV's live coverage of the 88th Frank Barber Memorial Eastern Duckpin Classic. We're at Lucky Strike Lanes in Mansfield Center, Connecticut. And we just saw Eric Leteska cover a single pin spare to fill his strike. So he is sitting at 102 plus in the 8th. And I'm sure hoping to mark out to get back on that 150 pace. And as you can see, we're following the 3 top scores, the bowlers with the 3 top scores from their first 6 games of qualifying. You just saw Eric Leteska, and also featuring Kyle Shaw and Jesse Deach. So we will be following and focusing on the leaders, as well as any other exciting developments that come up along the way. This is the second game of the second block of Shift 3.
Speaking of exciting developments, I was running down to check out. I thought perhaps Matthew Gano, the young bowler, was on a triple, but it turns out he was on a double, and he ended up going off the side for 7. So some excitement down on 1 and 2 besides Jesse Deach, who is now in your picture frame. And he's off the side for 6 on that. Kyle looking to clean up for a 10 box.
Right. So the Allmark dream is over, but still, he's 54 over. He's 124 in the 7th.
Fine start to this game. Not a problem at all.
And here's an opportunity to add. You know, you can't really coast now and be comfortable. Oh, I'm going to have 150 this game.
He would probably like to see 2 out of 3 marks. I think he'd be happy with that.
Like we mentioned before, he was below pace. He was under the 150 average, and even after last game, a little bit more under that, so he needs to make up a lot of pins.
So Eric bounced back from the strike with a spare, and he really right now is looking to just start stringing some marks together.
Right, he's in save the game mode here.
Yeah, he needs to do. He has to do the same thing he did last game. Essentially, is at least get into the 30s.
Right. Well, he should be there. He should be at 130 with a 8 or 9 fill, but that's not really good enough.
So Eric stepping up onto lane 5 as he attempts to load his mark in the 8th frame. Unfortunately, the angle Eric takes to the lane is completely shadowing the shot. He leaves a 10-pin single 9 load on that mark. So Eric is in the process of salvaging this game right now.
Well, this is a big spot here for him.
Very confident on that spare.
Yes.
Jump over now to
You hear the
17 and 18, I believe. We're going to be taking a look at Kyle again. It's a triple right in front of us, off camera.
Frank Wagner, is that? It's a 4-timer.
Is that 4?
Yeah. That is 4 in a row. I believe that's Frank Wagner. So he is staring 200 in the face, possibly. He has 57 in the fifth. He opened his first 4 frames. Went spare 4-timer since then. So he'll need 2 more strikes in the 10th.
There's Kyle.
for a
Kyle with a
200.
he slid
Wow.
the 5 over. It didn't fall down. That is going to be an awesome shot of a replay right there for us because you see the 5 pin get kicked, slide on the plate,
Right.
and not tip over.
I'm sure he thought, oh, that's a strike. Oh, no, it's not. And we did see that last night. I believe it was with some of the bowlers on shift 4, Eric Barnes and other
Watch the
bowlers
very
in
end of
pair.
this shot as you see the pin come around and tip it.
Wow.
Hit it hard and did not knock
Hit it right
over.
in the middle of the pin, though, right, in the belly
middle,
of the pin,
Right.
where it wouldn't tip it over. It just kind of slid it.
I believe the machine set it back right where it was too, and Kyle hit
Doesn't matter.
hit the 3.5, 4.5 pin.
Right.
So there's one of the 2 marks that we were talking about for Kyle. Some sort of an issue down on lanes 3 and 4 with the balls being underneath the lane, so that held up some action on lanes 1 and 2 as well. You can see Jesse's 2 boxes behind right now in terms of the game itself. It's kind of a rare moment where none of our 3 bowlers are on the lanes.
I'm going to take a quick jaunt down to 1 and 2 just to make sure we're up to date with Jesse's score.
Very good. So we are still early on in this second block of shift 4. We have several bowlers, 3 bowlers on this shift who were in contention after their first block, and they are in the process of completing their second games. We're about to see Jesse Deach attempt to load a spare that he threw in the 7th frame. This is his 8th frame on lane 1, and he gets a strike and a delay. He had the 4-10 briefly.
Yeah.
The 4 left quickly, and the 10 took its time, but did fall down. So he's finally figured out lane 1.
You can see his body English, like, really? Another split?
Yep,
No, maybe not.
the
Maybe a
same
strike?
pin took out the 4 and the 10,
And-
ironically.
Fist pump.
So now we're back looking at Eric Leteska over on lane 6. He's filling a spare, and
Light,
he didn't like the ball, but
but
got away with it.
got away with it. Spare leave sitting at 138 or 137 at this moment, but opportunity
he's-
to get into the 140s if he's
Got a chance to get to the 40s.
Unfortunately, Frank Wagner did not
Came up short at
get to 5 for strikes in a row and finishes with a
65.
163,
160.
165. He's in the 160s. Still a good game after opening your first 4. And Eric converted.
So now we're going to see Eric attempt to load, and this will get him into the 40s, you would hope. Hopefully the upper 40s if he's throwing the ball where he wants to. Yeah, he likes that one. Absolutely. You could see his body language is very, very telling at the line. He knew that was a good ball out of his hand.
And he definitely bailed himself out that game. He was only 12 above his box. He had 72 in the 6th. Finishes with a strike and 3 spares with a strike fill on the spare in the 10th for 149.
Yep, big game. And it's, it's a nice game to come back. You start with a 33, come back with a 49.
Right.
You got a mindset now. I'm on the right.
Especially, like I said, he's 72 in the 6th after having that 133 game. So, wow, wow. And sometimes you can go the other way and start pressing too much, and he did the opposite.
So the next bowler we should have on screen, I believe, will be Kyle Shaw, but he is waiting. Kyle had that one hiccup in the 7th, and now he's looking to close this game out.
Right.
He could get himself into the 60s with a mark out.
And even that hiccup, I'm sure he was light going away in the 1-2 and still left himself with a makeable spare with the bucket there.
Yeah, and he went off just off the side.
Right. Is that a double by Jesse?
Well,
It
there's no
was.
pins left.
I don't see anything there. Let's go back and take another look.
Yep,
Yeah,
that's
Confirmed.
cleared.
double confirmed. No fist pump.
Well, he's not giving Eric any breathing room, nor Kyle.
Right.
Kyle with a solid 9 drop.
Kyle's been on all game, whereas Jesse and Eric had to pick themselves up after some slow starts, and both did. And Jesse still has a lot of room to go. A lot of
Very
lot of
rare.
upside to this game working on a double.
Very rare that you see Kyle Shaw go by a 1-pinner.
Nobody's perfect.
When you leave 1-pinners 80% of the time, though, that's
Right.
inevitable.
The law of large averages. But like you said, I'm sure he'd be happy marking 2 out of the last 3 frames. Well, he's got 1 out of 2.
He's got
so
1 out of 2.
Marking the 10th.
Get into 70. Right now, Jesse Deach has a potential 189 game, but it would require he strike out with 3 in the 10th. I'm sorry, 179.
No, you're right.
Oh, no, I was right.
189.
I thought it was 89. It's 99.
And looks like we're kind of repositioning some of our cameras here to get ready for their movement to the next pair over. But
And I'm sure at this point, Jesse's not thinking about a 189. He's thinking about that next ball on
think
lane
about
1.
the next ball.
So all 3 of our top bowlers are still continuing to bowl very, very well. There's no letdown.
Up to the challenge.
They definitely are putting themselves in position so that they can close this thing out and put themselves as the new leader in the
Right.
clubhouse. The 1771 right now is starting to look like
Yeah, if Kevin Martin's watching at home, sorry to say this, Kevin, but it's probably going to be bypass at 1771. But you never know. It's duck
don't.
pins.
I mean-
it's duck pin bowling.
it would be different if there were only one person,
Right.
but there's 3 on this shift. There's another 2 or 3 on the next shift.
And you had it right. A lot
There's
of big
too many
scores
too
in
many
shift
scorers
5.
out there, yeah.
A lot of people in contention. You can see some of those scores that are scrolling on the bottom, across the bottom of the feed here. And we're coming now to
Currently,
current top scores.
And then you
Actually, we
see-
have them sorted by average.
so you see that 7th place right now. There's our leader in the clubhouse, who's only averaging 147. Not only.
Right,
What am I?
right.
What am I? Stop.
Right.
Who's averaging a very nice 147.6, and you see Kyle Shaw has caught that.
Right. Not quite.
Well,
Actions.
I'm giving him this game.
Okay.
He's got it.
True. That's true.
He can't not go up.
He can't go he can't go below 153 in this game. That's for sure.
So at this point in the live action, we have Kyle Shaw over on lane 18. He's off camera.
I'm trying to get him onto the feed.
And here
We
comes
have-
Kyle into your picture right now. He's attempting to gets something going, and he does throw a strike in the 10th. So
Yep.
you know that's the 2 out of 3 that I was hoping he would. Well,
Good news, bad news for Kyle. Good news, striking the 10th. Bad news. Cost
he
himself 10 pins
missed
by
another
missing the
one
spare in
pinner.
the ninth.
How many times have we seen it already today amongst the top bowlers?
Right.
I mean, as a lower handicap bowler, when you miss a 1 pinner, you think, oh, here comes the strike, no matter where I throw it, and he throws the double.
He just made up for it.
So he gets more than 2 out of 3. Jesse gets the triple.
Wow.
So this is turning into a slugfest right here.
They're making it very easy for me to keep score. Just X, X, X.
So at this point, Kyle is going to throw a game approaching 180
And might not have the
might
high
not
game of
pick up
three.
and might not pick up any pins.
Here's a replay of Jesse's
Another
triple. Had
pin
the
comes
4-7,
flying across,
double fist
ticks
pump.
out the 7. So he's certainly recovered from that fiasco on lane 20.
Absolutely. Although, it'd be interesting to see if he were to rip the middle of this last ball, what would his reaction be? Not that I want him to see him do that.
And Kyle cleans up 3 more. So that's a 183 for Kyle. Jesse needs to throw another strike to get to 180. He goes off the side for 5. So Kyle is going to have the high score this game, but he's not going to pick up a tremendous amount of pins.
Right. It's like a 173.
So Kyle does pick up 10 pins with a 183 game. That might be a bit disheartening.
Well,
right. You can't be upset with a 183 game, and
Right.
you can't predict what other bowlers are going to do. So
here's a replay.
Kyle's triple in his 10th, and he just tips the 3 pin over. No, that was the 2 pin. My bad, 2 pin.
Maybe a little makeup there for when the 5 pin didn't fall earlier in the game.
So we have just completed game 2 of what is turning out to be an exciting morning of bowling with some extremely good bowling, high scores from our leaders. We are going to take a quick break. We are once again coming to you live from Mansfield Center, Connecticut, Lucky Strike Lanes. We are bringing you coverage of the 88th Annual Frank Barber Memorial Eastern Classic.
I think Nick's become the biggest problem solver I ever know. You know, he's just okay. I want to do that, so we're just gonna figure out how we're gonna do it. And honestly, I don't know how we figured out how to do the duck pin, but everybody tells me it's simply amazing. He just figured it out on his own.
Mulvihill needs to beat that 163 to win this match. So that means putting a strike on this. 9 pins will tie. 8 pins or less, he's eliminated. Collins champion.
Oh my goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, Jimmy Mulvihill throws another great ball on the head pin, leaves a ringing 5 pin, and we have a tie.
And we are back at Lucky Strike Lanes with live coverage of the Frank Barber Memorial Eastern Classic. This is Duckpin TV's, I want to say, 4th year involved with the Eastern, I believe. Is that right, Jim? Have we been here 4 years?
I think this is my 3rd, but I think it's the 4th for Duckpin TV.
I think we started on the 85th. So
No, I think that was the 2nd year.
So this would be our 5th year
Yeah.
then.
No,
So
4th.
86, 87,
4th.
88.
Yeah.
I'm math guy. So
You're the math
80,
guy.
85th,
Whatever you
was,
say, I'll believe.
85th was 1 year. 86, 87, 80, that's 4. So if we started 1 year before that, 4 and 1 is 5.
I'll go with 5.
Time flies.
Yeah, it does.
We've been here for a long time.
Yeah, it does.
These weekends are so action-packed and so full of just one shot after another. It's just everything kind of blurs into one big image. We are here with still our focus on the top 3 bowlers on this shift, who are now starting to move their way closer and closer to that leader in the clubhouse status. They're 4 games out. Jesse's now averaging 160 for his first 8 games. We still have John D'Antonis, who is on our next shift in second place, average-wise, with a 157. But then Eric and now Kyle Shaw has moved up into the picture, both of them averaging just about 152. Eric just is a tad over 152. Kyle Shaw right at 152. And then we have Stacy Kelly and Don Dove, also members of the 150 average club, also going to be bowling on our afternoon shift. So we've got some excitement. That number is now starting to come into focus.
Right.
It's just a matter of whether or not Jesse can continue that pace. If he does, it's going to put a tremendous amount of pressure on the other 5 bowlers.
And he has. I mean, he's averaging 162 so far today, 151, 173. And he's actually distanced himself even a little bit more despite the good starts from Eric and Kyle. He has an 8-game score of 1281, whereas Eric is at 12.6. Kyle Shaw is at 12.16, and Eric Leteska 12.18. So
and the scary thing, Jim, is I would bet you that Jesse would tell you right now he's not feeling very comfortable this morning. He's struggled at times.
At times. I'm sure he'd like to have that last ball back
Yep.
from the first game.
And he
when he
threw
was
a
working on
4-box
double.
in the middle of this.
Right, and he started the second game with a 4-box.
So he has plenty of room for improvement, despite the fact that he's averaging 162.
Right. No, it's like golf. You know, you shoot, you have a great score, and I missed that putt, and I had to take a drop here, but you still had a great round. But you can always look back and find where you could have been better.
But I wasn't even looking at it as a negative. I was looking at it as a positive because he's definitely got to have a mindset like I've got these 2 games. Wait till they start falling. So at this point, Kyle Shaw is now at the far end of the house, down on lanes 19 and 20. So we're going to get some side angles of him. He starts off his 3rd game, looks like a 9-drop, leaving the 7-pin in the corner. Just a replay right here of Eric Leteska now bowling on lanes 7 and 8. This is his first box, I believe. Or is this his second box? So he's loading a spare in the second with a strike in the third. So Eric Leteska off to a good start for game 3 of his 6 this morning.
And whereas Eric and Kyle have already started their 3rd games, Jesse's having to wait for the pair to his right to finish their 2nd game. So we'll have to keep an eye out and see if that has an effect on his performance.
So Kyle did start by making that single, 7-pin for a spare. And now we've got Eric. Eric is his 3rd box, and it seems like Jesse's group is.
Yeah, they're waiting for the pair to their right.
It looks like their group in front of them has not completed their 2nd game.
I was just mentioning how that might have an impact on Jesse. Sometimes having to wait. I mean, it's only been a couple of minutes, but sometimes when you have to wait 10 minutes.
The problem with that is it gets
games.
to be cumulative. You know, is it going to happen now? Is it going to back up more the next game?
But it looks like they're ready to go.
So that wasn't really a long delay.
Yeah, a few minutes.
And in their defense, I did recall seeing them have to go into the gutter a couple times to get balls out of there. So I don't think it was the pace as much as it was mechanical.
Now we're picking up Eric. Oh, that's not Eric.
That's Jeff Corneliuson, one of our generous sponsors to Duckpin TV's GoFundMe page. When he actually he gave me the money personally, and he said, you know what, I want to do this. I'll give you money every so often because I really like what you guys do. And I love what you put out, the old stuff, the current stuff.
Right.
Really, really heartfelt thanks from him as a bowler for what we do. So that was good to hear, Yeah,
it makes you feel good knowing that our efforts are being appreciated. And a couple weeks ago, we were down in Maryland for the Alumni Challenge matches and had a number of bowlers just come up to me and just, here's a 20, thank you. Here's my donation, I appreciate it. And it all added up. It all added up. We're watching Dave Dupuis here. It's like on lane 8 from Spencer, Massachusetts. Candlepin bowler, now who also bowls duck pins as well.
There are at least 2 Candlepin crossovers. We got Gary Santora here. Right. Dave is here. I don't know if Josh
Lowell
is on this shift. He's on a different shift.
John Blaze, I know.
Aaron Habidal.
Right, and I believe, I can't think of his name right now, but we had a lefty who I found out last night is a Candlepin bowler as well, and he had some good scores last night. I just can't.
They've transitioned very well to the game of duck pins.
Absolutely.
All of them have been very, very pleasant additions to the duck pin community. Eric got away with one. His body language, you don't have to watch the ball go down the lane. You can tell by what he does at the line whether or not it's a good ball. But again, he got away with a light hit on that, leaving the 2 and the 6. This time he's hoping to hit them both. And he
does. A little heavy, but
he almost, it's one of those things. We talked about this, I think, 2 or 3 years ago. Kyle Shaw would pick. He was picking 2-pinners. And once you start doing that, it's almost in your head that you don't pick it.
It becomes a mental.
And Kyle with a tip, another classic replay available there for Kyle Shaw. This time the pin tips to 5, hits it,
finishes the
job. Awesome pin action from Kyle on that ball.
And we are seeing some bowling. They are putting on performances here where only one open frame so far between Eric and Kyle. We're waiting for Jesse to start his 3rd game. He's coming off.
Yeah, I believe Jesse's on lane
170
on lane 3 right now. Coming into your picture. And he starts off his first box of game 3 with a solid 9 drop, leaving the 10 pin in the corner.
Yeah, the action, the atmosphere is definitely there's a little more electricity, I feel, in the air right now with these big games being thrown.
I tell you, that looking all around the alleys, the pins are flying. There's a lot of marks. There's a lot of strikes. It's going to make for an exciting afternoon and morning. So we have we're waiting for Eric Leteska's next box, and I also trying to figure out whether or not Jesse converted that spare. Looks like there may be. Right now, this is one of those times in duckpin bowling where there's about 10 lanes open. Nobody's on them, which is a little bit frustrating from our point of view. Oh, Josh is on this shift. There's another Candlepin bowler.
Josh Lowell is bowling.
He is here, yep.
Okay.
There's Eric Leteska stepping up onto now lane 8.
Working on 3 marks in a row.
You should see him come into your picture here, attempting to load his spare. At this point, we are going to take a quick break. We seem to be having a technical issue with one camera, so we're going to take a break, come back to you in just a couple of minutes.
The biggest problem solver I ever know, He's just, okay, I want to do that, so we're just going to figure out how we're going to do it. And honestly, I don't know how we figured out how to do the duck pin, but everybody tells me it's simply amazing. he just figured it out on his own.
Mulvihill needs to beat that 163 to win this match. So that means putting a strike on this. 9 pins will tie. 8 pins or less, he's eliminated. McClellan's champion.
Oh my goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, Jimmy Mulvihill throws another great ball on the head pin, leaves a ringing 5 pin, and we have a tie.
Block, shift 3. We're following, as you can see on the screen, the 3 top scorers on the shift. Jesse Deach from Maryland, Eric Leteska, and Kyle Shaw from Connecticut. Kyle's had another great start to his game. He's coming off of a 188. And he started spare, strike, spare. No, not 188, I think 183. But he started with all marks. Eric Leteska had 3 marks in a row and ripped the middle. So he's sitting at 70 halfway through and waiting for a scoring update on Jesse's third game.
Yeah, Jesse loaded that mark with an 8 box and finished with a 10 box, so he's at 28 through 2.
And just looking at some of the scores that are coming in from Steve Korick, it looks like Dave Dupuis, who we had just briefly mentioned before, I believe he had covered the 510 for a spare. He had a 192.
Wow.
His second game. So he didn't have a great first block, but he has 320 for his first 2 today. And as we mentioned, Jesse Deach had a 173 his second game. Kyle Shaw, 183. Gary Santora, another one of those crossover candlepin bowlers, 174. The scores are out there.
Gary came up and told me Friday night was a disaster. Today he's off to a 324 start.
Scores are to be had. There's big numbers to be had out there. Just who's going to find them?
So right now in the game 3, Eric is off to a reasonably good start. He's at plus 20 through 5. He probably wants to keep adding to that. He needs to keep that 150 pace at this point. Kyle again off to that Dutch start that we were talking about last game.
And we just brought Eric up onto the screen here. A very heavy hit. Very heavy hit, but luckily has a spare leave. Looks like it's just the 3-pin.
Eric attempt to make the single, and you can tell just by his body language, you didn't have to watch the result. It was a good ball out of his hand. He knew it.
So he has a quick recovery from that rip into the middle in the 5th frame.
Sets
Almost
himself
ripped
up.
again,
Yep.
but ends up with a spare instead.
So here's Kyle Shaw coming up on lane 20 off to our right. He will be trying to fill the spare in the 3rd. As you see his ball mixing, and it's like the 5 and the 8.
5-8.
So he's left that a couple of times this morning. The ball probably just getting maybe either just getting in a little light and not getting through the 5-pin, so it doesn't take out the 5 or the 8.
Right.
Covers them both very, very quickly. So there's a spare. Again, there goes the Dutch game, but he's not going to be complaining about 4 marks in a row, I can promise you.
So he has, what, 12 marks out of his last 14
Yeah,
games?
he only had 8 marks last
Right.
game, so he missed a couple. You know,
And that was with a triple in the 10th.
So you can just, you could say he made
14
up
out
for
of
the 2
16,
misses. Yeah,
right?
sure, if you want to go that way.
Oh, it's like we just
Jesse,
missed Jesse with a strike.
So Jesse is now 2 marks through 3 boxes. none of these bowlers at this point are flinching.
No.
And, of course, the best news for the person in the lead is he's not flinching. So if nobody else is coming up on him, he's pretty position.
Right. And as good as Kyle has bowled so far this morning, he still has quite a bit of pinfall to make up.
If you start looking at the averages, we've bowled 8 games. He's 8 pins average higher. That's a 64 pin differential.
Right.
So there's a lot of pins to be made up.
That's a lot to make up in one game, but they still have
They have
3.5 games.
3.5. Yep.
If Jesse keeps bowling at this clip, it'll be very
Here comes
difficult
Eric.
to do.
Again, gets away with a really. That ball for him is
Subpar.
so far from where he
Right.
wants to throw it, and he gets
12 drop. Right. And those are the types of breaks that you need. Instead of going off the side for 2, especially when you're on a spare, go off the side for 8 and a spare leave.
Yeah, that ball was dangerously close to taking out 3.
I'm going to say that was a double I heard down on 1
Yeah,
on
3 and 4, I believe.
I'm just going to put the X in here and assume
Oh,
that.
and Eric goes by the head pin. No, that was not Jesse.
All right, then I will hold
Jesse
off on marking
Jesse
his
did not
strike.
throw the double, but the bowler in front of him did.
Okay,
Jesse is stepping up on the lane as we speak.
thank you.
It was Jesse cheering for that bowler, though.
Gotcha.
You did get the right.
Yeah, I guess I wouldn't hear Jesse cheering too much for himself, although maybe.
You never know.